In this world, far removed from society, lives a race known as the Iorf. The people of this race are incredibly beautiful in appearance, and they possess lifespans that stretch for 1,000 years. Once they reach the age of 15, their outward appearance stops aging entirely, and their youthful looks are frozen in time. The Iorf are a humanoid race that live far removed from the world of humans, spending their days weaving hibiel, a special cloth which serves as a written chronicle for the passing of time. They are also known to the world as the Clan of the Separated. The elder Racine once told Maquia, as a member of the Clan of the Separated, if you fall in love with someone from the outside world, then one day, you will be forced to watch helplessly as the one you love grows old, gets sick, and dies. That kind of loneliness is the most painful of all. That's why the Iorf people have distanced themselves from the world, pouring their 1,000-year-long lives into the cloth they weave. Maquia is quiet and introverted, and on top of that, she's an orphan. She watches as others enjoy the love and warmth of parents, and feels nothing but a deep sense of loneliness. To make things worse, the boy she secretly likes ends up with her best friend. Every time Maquia sees Leelia and Krim together, her heart aches. And then, a dragon's roar tears through the stillness of the night. It's the dragon knights sent by the king of the neighboring kingdom of Mazerut. He has long coveted the Iorf's secret to long life. At that moment, the gates begin to close. Alarm bells echo throughout the city. The invaders, backed by the terrifying presence of dragons, plunge the Iorf into a state of hopelessness. They forcibly take away all the women, and all the remaining men are to be slaughtered. Just then, one of the dragons suddenly loses control. In the chaos, it snatches Maquia, who had been hiding in a corner, and flies into the sky. The dragon's condition worsens rapidly, and it begins to fall at an alarming speed. Finally, with a thunderous crash, the dragon slams into the ground and dies. But miraculously, Maquia survives. Her people were slaughtered and her homeland destroyed, leaving Maquia in utter despair. She wants to end her life, but just as she is about to leap off the cliff, she hears the sound of a baby crying. Maquia walks through the dark forest and arrives at a village that lies in ruins. It looks like the place had been attacked by bandits. Inside one of the tents, the baby's cries grow louder and louder. The child's mother has already been murdered. Inside the tent, a strange man is drinking. To her surprise, he recognizes Maquia. The man sighs, saying how powerful a mother's love is to protect her child even in death. Maquia looks at the helpless baby and gently wipes away the tears from his eyes. But then, the baby suddenly grabs Maquia's finger tightly. In that moment, Maquia's heart melts. Though still just a child herself, Maquia, at the edge of despair, found a new purpose to live. Even though she doesn't fully understand what it means to be a mother, Maquia makes a silent vow. She will raise this baby into adulthood. The light of dawn breaks through the dark forest. A new journey has begun. Two boys in a nearby village are playing around, while a dog barks furiously toward the sheep pen. The farm's owner, Mido, thinks someone is trying to steal a sheep, but instead, she sees Maquia milking one. Kind-hearted Mido brings Maquia into her home and prepares some food for her. Maquia decides to give the baby a temporary name, Ariel. She pleads with Mido to let the two of them stay for a while. When Mido learns that Maquia is a survivor of the Clan of the Separated, she agrees to take them in. Mido, ever so kind, even helps Maquia find a job as a weaver. Their lives slowly begin to return to normal. Since Maquia never had a mother, she doesn't truly understand what being one means. Mido pats her chest and says a mother should be like her. Even though her husband was killed by a red-eyed dragon, her two kids are the reason she keeps going every day. Mido gives Maquia a room of her own. From that moment on, Maquia and her baby finally have a home. Before long, it's winter again, snow falling thick and fast. When Maquia weaves cloth, the family dog curls up next to Ariel as he sleeps. Time quietly flows forward. Ariel has begun learning how to walk. Every step of his growth touches Maquia deeply. The old lady next door even compliments her, saying she really does look like a proper mother now. Then, suddenly, Ariel calls out, "Mama!" Maquia is left speechless, her heart stirred beyond words. In that moment, she feels that no matter how hard life may be, it's all worth it. Meanwhile, inside the royal palace of the Mazerut Empire, Iser reports to the king about the ancient dragons. Due to an outbreak of red-eye disease in one of the dragons, only 5 dragons remain. The reason the Mazerut Empire can dominate the surrounding nations is because they possess powerful dragons. If those dragons were to go extinct, the kingdom would surely face ruin. At that moment, the king suddenly makes a decision. He will marry Leelia, who was taken from the clan of the Separated, to Prince Hazel. This way, they can obtain the bloodline of immortality from the clan of the Separated. 5 years go by in the blink of an eye. Maquia teaches her son how to weave Hibial cloth. This cloth can record the language of the Iorf people, but what Ariel writes on it is a prayer for their dog to get better soon. Mito's son, Lang, tells Maquia that the dog has been with their family for many years and is now about the same age as a 90-year-old human. Maquia looks at Ariel and feels a pang of sadness. After all, that dog had been by his side as he grew up. The village kids also tease Ariel for being a mama's boy. Dita thinks that, as a boy, Ariel shouldn't rely so much on his mother. One day, Maquia hears shocking news from the owner of the fabric shop. It turns out there's another survivor of the clan of the Separated, her best friend Leelia, who is soon to marry the Prince of Mazerut. Upon hearing this, Maquia decides to rescue Leelia. Mito offers to take care of Ariel temporarily. After all, Maquia is traveling far away, and the journey is dangerous, but Maquia does not want to be separated from Ariel. Meanwhile, the old dog's life has also come to an end. The children cry bitterly over its passing. For Maquia, this is the first time she feels the pain of separation. In her days, she realizes that one day, her son will also leave her behind. If that day comes, how will she bear such heart-wrenching pain? The next day, Dita, who used to mock Ariel, comes holding a small flower to apologize to him, but the mother and son have already left. On a passenger ship, Maquia unexpectedly runs into Krim. Neither of them had expected the other to still be alive. Krim brings Maquia to meet other survivors of their people. Their shared goal is to rescue Leelia. They plan to make their move at a bridge. The day of the royal wedding comes quickly. The citizens of Mazerut celebrate joyfully, wishing Prince Hazel a blissful union. Krim moves through the crowd, waiting for the right moment. When he sees his chance, he charges forward and stabs one of the dragons, instantly plunging the scene into chaos. Maquia takes the opportunity to escape with Leelia, but unexpectedly, Leelia refuses to leave. She reveals that she is already pregnant with Hazel's child. She can no longer face her former lover, Krim. Soon, the king's guards catch up. Maquia has no choice but to flee. When Krim hears that Leelia is carrying a child, he is devastated. Still, he chooses to remain in the capital, to continue trying to rescue her. And so, the mother and son begin wandering once again, to avoid exposing their identities. Maquia gives up weaving entirely, but with her youthful, girlish appearance, finding work proves incredibly difficult. No one is willing to hire her. Maquia returns home disheartened, only to find Ariel playing with the loom. She thinks he's being mischievous. All the grief Maquia has bottled up in her heart these past days finally bursts out. For the first time, she scolds her son in a loud voice. Hurt and confused, Ariel runs out the door, but when Maquia looks at what he had written on the cloth, she realizes Ariel just wants to grow up quickly so he can protect his mom. At that moment, rain begins to pour down in sheets. Maquia rushes out, panicked. Thankfully, Ariel hadn't gone far. Seeing his mother's tears, Ariel promises to behave from now on. Maquia holds him tight and vows she will do everything she can to become a good mother. Time passed quickly. Mother and son had lost count of how many times they'd moved. In the blink of an eye, Ariel had grown into a young man, but Maquia still looked like a 15-year-old girl. Because of this, they told others they were siblings. Yet that explanation only stirred up gossip. Workers at the Imperial military factory whispered among themselves. They said the two weren't really siblings, but rather lovers who had eloped. These rumors began to affect Ariel's mindset. One day, the capital sent in a new group of soldiers to supervise. While placing an order for food, a low-ranking officer suddenly recognized Maquia. Maquia panicked, thinking her identity was about to be exposed, but to her surprise, the man turned out to be Mito's eldest son Lang. Lang had admired Maquia since they were children. He knew how much she had suffered over the years, and so, he resolved to take care of Maquia from now on. On the other hand, the king was furious. Leelia had given birth to a child, but the baby showed no traits of the clan of the Separated. And all these years, Leelia had not become pregnant again. The prince had since lost interest in her. The king then decided he would capture another woman from the clan of the Separated. Leelia went into a rage, smashing everything around her. Ever since her daughter was weaned, she had never been allowed to see her again. She didn't even know what her daughter looked like now. Meanwhile, Ariel, weighed down by emotions, was persuaded by others to drink several strong glasses of liquor. It was the first time he had ever had alcohol.
We'll make you a man yet.
Ever since reuniting with Maquia, Lang could no longer suppress the feelings he had buried deep inside. He loved Maquia, and he felt heartache for her. In such a chaotic era, Lang was willing to stay by her side, to return to the countryside and live a peaceful, happy life. But Maquia rejected Lang's love, because all this time, Maquia had only lived for Ariel. Her sole desire was to be a good mother. Even though Lang's confession failed, he still hoped that Maquia wouldn't turn away his care. That night, Ariel returned home, reeking of alcohol, and he did something Maquia never expected. She pushed him away in shock. Ariel stumbled and knocked over the hideal cloth from the past. Maquia quickly bent down and picked it up. Heart aching, it was the cloth Ariel had woven as a child. The line he wrote, "I'll protect Mama when I grow up," was what had kept her going all these years. Ariel had been deeply affected by the gossip. He'd even heard rumors that Lang would take Maquia away from him. "I'll never see you as my mother again." Those words from Ariel made Maquia collapse to the floor. Her chest felt like it was weighed down by a boulder. She couldn't breathe. The next day, Ariel went to find Lang. He asked for help to join the castle's military, but Lang was furious. He believed Maquia had endured everything just to raise Ariel into a grown man. And now, Ariel wanted to run away from her. Ariel truly couldn't understand Maquia. Why would someone with no blood ties to him go so far to love and protect him? He also wanted to protect his mother, but now, he no longer knew how. Worse still, he had caused her pain. Becoming a soldier was just a way to escape reality. Maquia heard her son's true feelings. Quietly, she returned home and helped him pack. But when Ariel left, he only said one thing: "I'm going." Ariel was Maquia's reason to keep on living. She had never been separated from her son. But now, he chose to walk away from her. Maquia clutched the cloth Ariel had woven and broke down in tears. But just then, an uninvited guest arrived. Ariel, who had recently enlisted, received news. The surviving members of the clan of the Separated were forming an alliance with a neighboring country. Soon, they would launch an attack on the Mazarut Empire. That night, Lang brought even more terrifying news. To achieve immortality, the king had ordered a citywide manhunt for girls from the clan of the Separated, and the one who abducted Maquia was none other than Krim. He was also the one who had forged the alliance and planned the war. To rescue Leelia, Krim had begun using any means necessary. Krim looked at Maquia's long hair, which reached down to her waist. He thought she was being selfish. For women of the clan of the Separated, only those who marry and bear children are allowed to grow their hair past their waist. The remaining Iorf survivors were struggling to live in the imperial capital. Yet Maquia lived alone, enjoying the happiness of being a mother. Krim took a dagger and sliced off Maquia's hair. It meant that Maquia would now abandon her false identity as a mother and be forced to return to the Iorf to help rescue Leelia. To Maquia, cutting off her hair was like severing her memories with Ariel. That pain, Krim might never understand. Many years later, Ariel married Dita, the girl who used to mock him when they were children. And now, Dita was pregnant with Ariel's child. Ariel was about to become a father. He finally understood why Maquia had loved him so deeply. But just as the couple looked forward to their future, the horn of war had already begun to sound. Warships from several nations had entered Mazarut Empire's waters. Fierce bombardments claimed countless lives. As a soldier, Ariel hurriedly said goodbye to his wife. What he had to protect now wasn't just the city, but also the child who was about to be born. The war had already begun, but the king escaped with the prince through a secret tunnel. Perhaps a country like this was not even worth defending, yet some people still refused to abandon their home. Not long after, Maquia ran into Ariel, dressed in armor, weapon in hand. Mother and son, separated for years, now stood face to face. Time seemed to freeze in that moment. Elsewhere, Krim finally found Leelia. The reunion of former lovers brought both of them to tears. Leelia admitted she had long lost the will to live, but before dying, she wanted to see her daughter, Medmel. Krim refused. He said the child was born of force, a painful memory she should forget, but Medmel was. After all, the child Leelia carried in her womb for 10 months. No matter how painful the memories were, there was no way she could forget her own daughter. Only then did Krim realize Leelia was no longer the girl he once knew. All his years of silent endurance had been nothing more than a one-sided dream. In utter despair, he set the palace on fire, ready to die together with Leelia. But at that moment, royal guards opened fire, striking Krim. He collapsed beneath a tree, clinging to life, even in his final moments. He never understood why Leelia and Maquia had changed. Maybe he would never understand what it meant to be a mother. Amid the chaos of war, Maquia ran for her life. By chance, she ended up at Ariel's home. Dita was collapsed on the floor. In pain, her water had broken, though Maquia had never given birth herself. She helped Dita through labor. On one side, new life was being born. On the other, lives were being lost. Perhaps that's what people call the cycle of life. Ariel fought bravely in the blood-soaked battlefield, but in the next moment, an enemy's spear pierced toward him. Just then, the sound of a newborn's first cry filled the air. Ariel's child had safely entered the world. Much later, Ariel woke from his coma, and the first thing he saw was Maquia's worried face. He deeply regretted walking away from his mother back then, but Maquia thanked Ariel instead. He was the reason she had managed to survive and understand the true meaning of life. Maquia asked Lang to take Ariel back to his wife and child, because that was where Ariel truly belonged. She had always been just a passerby in his life. Saying that, she turned and walked away. That was when Ariel shouted out, "Don't go, Mom!" Maquia finally heard her son call her mom again. She turned back with a smile, wanting to engrave this moment, this image of Ariel, deep into her heart. The Mazarut Empire was eventually defeated, and Leelia was finally reunited with the daughter she had longed for day and night. But when she heard her daughter ask, "Who are you?" she realized just how ridiculous she had been. Still, she had no regrets. At that moment, Maquia arrived, riding a dragon. When Leelia heard Maquia calling her name again, she didn't hesitate. She leapt onto the dragon with her, and the two soared into the distance. Ariel returned home, looking down at his son, filled with emotion. It was Maquia who had taught him how to be a good father. Now, together with Dita, he would teach his son the same. No one knew how many years had passed. One day, Maquia passed by the village again. She was drawn to a child who looked exactly like Ariel had when he was young. After the fall of the Mazarut Empire, Ariel had returned to this place, perhaps because this land held the happiest memories between him and Maquia. That child was Ariel's grandson. By now, Ariel had only one breath left. Maquia sat by his bedside, looking at her gray-haired son, and said, "I'm home." Hearing those words, Ariel finally closed his eyes in peace. Perhaps he had been waiting his whole life, just to see his mother one last time. Maquia had always known this day would come, but when it truly happened, the pain was unbearable. She wove all of her memories with Ariel into a hideal cloth and draped it over his body. For the last time, as a mother, she kissed Ariel's forehead. As she left the village, Maquia couldn't help but look back, her mind flashing with memories of all her time with Ariel. The meaning of a white dandelion is love that cannot stay. If we cannot escape birth, aging, sickness, and death, then let us love fully in the time we have. Cherish those before you. Do not waste your days. Do not betray your heart.